And the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the Cabinet Committee on Security CCS meeting, and the Cabinet meeting today as probe into the blast near Red Fort in Delhi continues.
Well, at least 8 were killed and several others were injured in the explosion on Monday. Home Minister Amit Shah has formally handed over the investigation from the Delhi police to the National Investigation Agency, directing it to submit a detailed report at the earliest. He has also instructed the Forensic Science Laboratory to closely match the samples which were collected from the blast site.
Sources in the FSL said that the team investigating the blast has recovered 2 live cartridges and samples of 2 different types of explosives. As per sources, during the inspection, both live cartridges were found directly from the blast site and have been sent for detailed forensic analysis.
Also, investigators collected possible trace of ammonium nitrate and another unidentified explosive substance, the nature of which will be confirmed after laboratory testing. Initial findings indicate the car explosion was not a typical suicide blast, but was instead triggered in panic by the suspect.
Dr. Muzammil Ahmad Ganai from Pulwama was arrested first, leading to the arrest of Dr. Majid Rathar from Kazigund. And police sources said that Umar Nabi, a 3rd doctor who went missing after the arrests, is the likely bomber and the person captured on CCTV footage in the Hyundai i20. CCTV footage from earlier in the day shows the car coming out of the parking lot minutes before it exploded, barely half a kilometer away.
Well, sources told ANI that the suspect did not follow the usual pattern of a suicide car bombing. He neither rammed the car into a target nor collided intentionally. Agency sources said the vehicle was still moving when the blast occurred, and the bomb, which was premature and not fully developed, did not create a crater on explosion, and no shrapnel or projectiles were all found there.
All right, our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur is joining us on the broadcast. Dharam, what we've just learnt now, that it wasn't a usual suicide bombing. There was no target in place, no shrapnel being found. All right, I think we'll try to reconnect with Dharam, who's there who's been tracking this very closely from ground zero. But Diksha, what we've just learnt here is that the suspect did not follow the usual pattern of suicide car bombings. He neither rammed the car into a target nor collided intentionally. And this region, Old Delhi, in front of Red Fort, it is extremely populated. Any turn in any other direction, if that blast would have happened even meters away from where it actually did, the death toll would have been a far different number.
Absolutely, Shivan. And as per the sources, the team investigating the blast has now recovered 2 live cartridges and samples of 2 different types of explosives over there. And as per the sources, during the inspection, both live cartridges were found directly from the blast site, and now they have been sent for a detailed forensic analysis.
Right, and let's go back to Dharam, who's joined us. I think we've been able to reconnect that line. Dharam, this doesn't seem like a usual blast. Is it suggesting that it wasn't really a planned blast? It perhaps happened in haste or in panic. It did not follow the usual course of other suicide bombings that have been studied in the past?
Well, Shivan, again, it's very early to say at this point of the investigation, because all of these are probable assumptions that are being made. None of this has been confirmed officially by the investigating agencies. But again, how we're seeing the entire trajectory of this progress, that is the kind of line of assumption that is being taken at this point. Again, I'd like to reiterate, it's way too early to say anything, because this is just speculation at this point. This is a probable angle. There will be many others that are being investigated again. And this is something that even the Union Home Minister has pointed on the first day itself, that all possible angles are going to be probed to try and reach the bottom of this matter. But this has been the conversation since yesterday, Shivan. We've been talking about this for a very long time, about how they are trying to understand where exactly, number one, this explosive material came from. Now that they have found 2 different kinds of sample at the blast site, clearly there's going to be a forensic analysis to determine if at all there is any connection with the modules that have been busted just hours before the explosion took place on Monday. So we're talking about the Faridabad module over here. Again, all of these dots have not been directly connected as of now, but they're going to try and see if at all there is a connection not just between the substance that has been found, but between the people, the suspects, the persons of interest who were apprehended and are being questioned. So a lot is happening, Shivan, simultaneously. There's CCTV footage that is being combed through. There's a lot of samples that are being sent for forensic analysis. There are a lot of persons of interest also who are being questioned simultaneously. So how all of this information comes together and how it gets connected to the explosion, what was the nature of it, what was the intensity of it, what was the reason behind it, and did it really go as per plan or was it something else altogether? All of these are questions that we will find answers to eventually, but at this point it's speculation and an assumption on the basis of how things are opening up gradually.
Understood.
Absolutely. Dharamjot, and a lot of questions remain unanswered. We know now that Home Minister Amit Shah has formally handed over the investigation from the Delhi police to the NIA. And it has directed it to submit a detailed report at the earliest. Now, the question on everybody's mind is what next?
Well, absolutely, Diksha. That's the point. In fact, yesterday, even at the site of the blast, when the NIA took over the investigation, there were more personnel from the forensics team and other investigating officials who appeared. They also increased the area that had earlier been cordoned off. So clearly, they're trying to, number one, try and understand how far an impact did the explosion have, because we've seen from the harrowing visuals that emerged on Monday and even later on Tuesday, the kind of impact across even markets nearby that felt the intensity of the blast,
Yes.
the kind of damage that vehicles around have suffered, of course, the tragic loss of life that has happened at the explosion site. But again, the area of investigation has increased. The area of even the expansion into different persons of interest who are being linked to each other. The investigating agencies are truly trying to understand if at all there is a nexus, how
Yes.
far-reaching is this nexus, what kind of explosives were used, if at all that is the nature of the explosion. A lot of questions are unanswered, but there is an expectation that after a preliminary report, within a few days, there will be a final report that is going to be submitted to the government. The NIA, we know, did take over the investigation formally yesterday. So there are going to be developments in the coming few days.
Dharam, thanks so much for getting us all those details. And just to let our viewers know that the visuals that you saw on screen, that area outside Red Fort doesn't look like this. It's barricaded. Otherwise, that is a absolutely busy street. And this is only because it has been barricaded. Otherwise, any part in Old Delhi is what, as it is called, Purani Delhi, it is extremely crowded. Any other direction in which that car would have gone, we would have been seeing a very different kind of a disaster. That was Dharam getting us all the details, who's been tracking all those developments from ground zero, and we will continue to bring you all the updates as the investigation agencies continue their probe.